Well, hello everybody. Sorry for the late start tonight. I was trying to get all the information together and it took a little longer than what I thought it would. First of all, let me say hello to everyone that I haven't said in the comments. Tim says he'll be passing through Memphis in a couple hours. Hopefully, I'll be done on here and sleeping. I got to get up early for a pickup in the morning. Hello, this is Trucking Life. And my good friend John Toohey's here. I got to meet him and his, well, I've met him already. I got to meet his family the other day and we had a good visit. I needed a notary and they ran me to a notary and helped me get some of my prescriptions and stuff like that. So thank you to them for doing that. And I wish I was on the beach. This is actually my good friend James sent me this picture and I'm using it as a backdrop. This is like real close to his house and um, we both thought it was a good picture with the clouds and everything, so we've got it up. If any of the others of you got good pictures that you want me to use as a background, email them to me and you never know, I may use your picture. By the way, let me get that information up here. There we go. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. And for those that don't know, let's get a couple more. Mr. Salamanca's here. I'm on my way to Aurora, Colorado, driving through Kansas, and he likes the background. Thank you, and thanks to James for giving it to me. So the first thing is we had a load board update today. It was a whole lot of not really much, to be honest. The same stuff they said last week was this week. We're supposed to be getting the 3-minute refresh rate in the they said either later today or tomorrow, but they also said last week they ran into some problems. They saying the same thing they've said the last few weeks, that we're still going into phase 2 and that they're just trying to get some stuff worked out. So it was a little disappointing. Um, and so I don't really have a lot to share as far as load board updates. But here's what we do need to talk about. And this is important for every single Swift independent contractor. And a lot don't know about it. So I hope that when you see Swift independent contractors out here, that you'll let them know that beginning April 1st, their truck insurance is going to require a camera. And the problem is you can't wait till the end of March to get that camera. There's some supply issues at the terminals. There's only certain terminals that are putting the cameras in, and you're going to be placed out of service if you don't have it done by April 1st. Now, you guys know I mentioned this back in October, and I recommended that you go out and get your own insurance. That is the only way to avoid the Swift cameras. They have 4 of them to choose from, and it's Smart Drive, Netrodyne, Samsara, and Lytix. You guys know I bought Samsara just so I could make videos about it and tell you it's the least intrusive of the 4, but you have to order it on your own. You can't get it through Swift. Now, when you get the camera, you have to give Swift access to it if you're using their insurance. And that's the big issue that I've got. I don't mind cameras. I think they're a great idea. I just don't like company controlled cameras for an independent contractor. And so I went out and got my own insurance, and that was through OIDA. And I've got that information down in the ticker, scrolling across the bottom. You guys can check that out. But there was another channel, Contractors Corner, that also went out and found an insurance with ES Advantage, which you guys know is where I have my fuel card. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the comments for my fuel card. If you guys want to get more information on that, you can. There, it's in the comments. But this insurance has become a big deal. A lot of guys don't know about it. Their OOCs didn't tell them. And so we've got to do something. Burying your head in the sand is going to cause you problems in the very near future, within the next 2 weeks. So I had scheduled tonight the ES Advantage people to come on because I've done several videos on my experience with OIDA and what I thought about the insurance, and but I haven't done any on Contractors Corner deal that they made with the ES Advantage. They were supposed to come on here tonight, not Contractors Corner, but ES Advantage. I had two different guys from there that was supposed to come on, and both of them informed me this afternoon that they weren't going to be able to come due to scheduling conflicts. So I'm just going to have to share the information I can with you, the things I know, and when we do stuff like that, I'm going to get some of the facts wrong because it's hard to bring you stuff when you can't get a hold of the people you need to get a hold of. So we'll jump into that. Let me say hi to a few more people real quick. Let's see who we got here. My good friend Joe Wentz is here. Thank you, sir. Glad you're here. He did a pretty good video about going to a guitar store that was pretty interesting. If you guys hadn't seen it, y'all may want to go check that out. Good evening, Michael. Thanks for being here. Yeah, the other thing we're going to talk about later in the show is the load board situation. How can they buy U.S. Express when they can't fix their load board? I think that's a fair question, and I think we'll discuss that later in the show. But this insurance is something that's going to affect people a lot quicker, and so I want to make sure that we cover that in depth. And let's see, Chris agrees with Bobby. That seems the best route. Get your own insurance and your own camera. Yeah, a lot of guys that have gone through Swift to get their camera have experienced micromanagement, have experienced coaching, and Swift had specifically said they weren't going to micromanage and coach, but it's all in semantics. What your definition of coaching is and what a driver's definition of coaching is totally different in some cases. For example, they might say, "We're not coaching you, we're just talking to you." And so I know I'm going to get roasted for this video tonight. And at this point, I really don't care. I'm going to tell the truth, and whoever don't like it, don't like it. But let's talk about the OIDA one first. I was the first one to find out about it. I released the first video about it, and I found out by accident, and that upset a lot of people, other YouTubers included. Um, and so the OIDA insurance, what I was looking for when I set that deal up, I was looking for something that would affect the most people. For example, I didn't want to get something that was only available to veterans because a lot of you aren't veterans. I didn't want to get something that was only available to Swift people because a lot of you that watch my channel aren't Swift drivers. I wanted something that would fit the mass market, something that was affordable. I wanted something around the same price as Swift, although there's videos where I said that I would be willing to pay more than Swift just to have control of the camera. So that's what I did. I took some optional insurances over there, but when you call OIDA, and I've got that information down there, they know what Swift has to have now going through it with me, and they're going to start you off with everything I got. And if you're looking to save money, you can ask them what things can we chop and still be in compliance with what Swift needs. Now, I also want to be clear. I'm not making a penny off of either one of these insurance companies. If you get Contractors Corner insurance, if you get OIDA, neither one of them are paying me a commission. I would appreciate it if you mention me because it does encourage them to come on my show because they see that we're having an impact out here. So I would like you to mention me, but you can contact either one of them. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm just trying to help people. And if it all depends what you're looking for. We're going to talk about the Contractor Corner insurance and what I know about it and the pros and cons that I know and go from there. But ultimately, you guys are going to have to make a business decision and do what you think's best for you. So let's say hi to a few more people. My good friend Chris Morris is here. Made it back to the hotel after a second day of training. That's awesome. Um, and I'm glad things kind of leveled out for you today. Let me know later if you ended up getting that deal we were talking about. When did Swift buy US Express? They made the announcement today. It'll be closed at either the end of the second quarter or the beginning of the third quarter, is what the news article said. I put a video out this morning, and YouTube removed it and put it as unlisted. And I just realized it about 20 minutes before the show and my tongue ain't working, re-released it. And so you guys can check that video out, get that information. There's a link in that video where you can go and read that news article yourself. And like I say, later in the show, we'll talk about that. I just want to make sure we cover this insurance because this is something that is going to affect a lot of people. And we're running into people that don't even know about it. And here they've got to make a decision in 2 weeks that are not less than 2 weeks now. Yeah, Redneck, I'm glad every one of you's here. That is correct, Anthony. The news came out today. My good friend James sent it to me. He saw it on Facebook. He sent me the link, and then I made a video as quickly as I could. I was driving, and I pulled over and made a video as quick as I could. Let's see here. Asphalt doing the thumbs up. Thank you, sir. I think Asphalt saw the video just right before the show and left a comment. By the way, you guys, anytime you can leave a comment or give a thumbs up or share the video, it really helps. No, I'm not using a green screen. My friend James sent me this picture, and I'm using a virtual background through StreamYard. If any of you have a picture that you'd like to see in the background, email it to me, and you never know, I may use that picture in a future video. Let's see here. You're not really that late, 601. I was about 5 minutes late to the show. I was getting the name of these 4 cameras, and I had to go back and watch one of my videos to get that information. I lost my notes. Let's see. All right, good deal, Chris. Hey, Ryan's here. Good deal, man. Shut down in Hurricane, West Virginia. I'm actually on my way to Iowa. I'm picking up a load in the morning, and then from Iowa I'm going to Virginia, and then from Virginia, hopefully I'm going back to Louisville, Kentucky for the Matt's Truck Show. Hopefully a bunch of you guys will be there, and we'll have a good time. Let's see. Yeah, this picture, James sent it to me, and we both like it. Look at the clouds. It's kind of dark clouds looming overhead, but it's a real pretty beach. This is I think he said about a half mile from his house, and it's really nice there. How long does it take to get insurance through OIDA? I'm assuming you can't take ownership till it's insured, and they can't insure it till you sign the papers. So I called them on like a Friday, and it was like Monday or Tuesday by the time they had it done. Usually it's 1 to 2 business days. It's not a crazy long time, but here's the monkey wrench in the deal. The monkey wrench is that we're going to have a bunch of people that waited till the last minute, and there's another monkey wrench too. Now that they've waited till the last minute, these insurance agents at ES Advantage and at OIDA are going to be overwhelmed trying to get everybody done. So I wouldn't wait till, the last day of the month to call either of these companies, because you may find yourself out of service for a few days or having to get the camera installed and then uninstalled, and it's just going to create problems for you. Everybody needs to jump on this as quick as they can. Now, here's another thing. Swift sent out a message on the Zonar that if you've been on their insurance since January 1st, and I got off back in November, but if you've been on their insurance since January 1st, you owe them additional money because their premiums went up. And so they're going to charge you $25 a week until they get back the money you owe them. And I can imagine there's going to be a lot of people not too happy about that either. So, RJ says it's snowing up there in Fargo. Yeah, I was just up that way the other day, and it was snowing then too. I was so glad to get out of the snow. Let's see here. I'm talking about someone, it's going to be their truck probably. Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be some people quit over that stuff. Hey, Wesley, glad you could make it. Hope Swift doesn't become like Celadon, but a bunch of companies and buy a bunch of companies would wind up having to close the doors. I don't think so, just because they've got such a massive support. I mean, think of all the companies they've got. It would be, you talk about too big to fail. If they went under, it would be a hard hit to the economy. I think they're going to be just fine, and I think the net result is not going to really affect any of us Swift drivers in our day-to-day operations. Hey, Jack, but we'll get back into the insurances here. How do you take back like that for insurance? Wouldn't have been a set rate back then. Well, here's what happened. And this is kind of, I'll give you, it's a little shady. They told us back in November or December that insurance rates were going to go up 6%. Most people took that to mean that premiums were going up 6%. That's not what that meant. What it meant was their valuation of the truck was going up 6%. So you can imagine if you've got a $150,000, $200,000 truck at a 6% evaluation, or an increase of 6%, it basically meant a lot of people's truck payments went up $80 to $90 a week. And you figure $90 a week, and we're in the third week of March, so that's what, probably 12 weeks. So you're talking about $1,200, and if you are paying it back at $25 a week, it's going to be a long road to pay that back. Yeah, you kind of wonder about that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not suggesting anybody file that kind of suit. I wouldn't qualify for it because I switched before the end of the year. But it's going to be a mess, and there's going to be a lot of mad people. If I'd have been Swift, I'd have been tempted to eat that money. They can say what they want to, but they're self-insured. It might be a separate company, but they're all officed in the same building, and um, yeah, I kind of agree. Chris says his insurance went up 50%. Yeah, it's nuts. And I told everybody in November when I switched, don't wait till the last minute. And those that didn't listen to me are paying now. But this isn't going to be a "see I told you so" video. So I want to tell you some cool things about OIDA. On my insurance plan, you do not have to have a camera of any kind. Now, you guys know I think cameras are a good idea. And if you choose to get a camera and it meets their qualifications, which my Samsara does, they will cut your deductible in half in the event of an incident that you show them your camera footage. So, uh, say you do something boneheaded, you don't have to show them the footage. You could pay the full $1,000 deductible that I have. Say somebody cut you off and it wasn't your fault. You could show the footage and get your deductible cut in half. Now, critics of this policy have said, well, it doesn't have gap coverage. And that is correct. It does not have gap coverage. And, but that may or may not be a big deal. I'm paying my truck down at $676 a week, and I'm saving substantial money. As Chris said, his premiums went up 50%. I'm paying $519 a month, and I've got a very expensive truck with Swift. Many of you, most of you, probably almost all of you, are going to pay less than me. I also had a speeding ticket on my record. When that falls off, my premiums will go down as well. They also give discounts for your driving record and your employment record and things like that. So I can't tell you exactly what your premium would be, but I can encourage you to call them. The only thing I've had with them since I had OIDA's coverage is I had to replace a windshield. The claims process was really easy. They actually made me an appointment with SafeLight, and SafeLight couldn't do it. And so I said, well, can I just take it to a Swift terminal and get it done? And y'all reimburse me? They said, sure. I did that. I mailed them, or actually emailed them the receipt. And 2 weeks later, I had a check in the mail. So I've had really good success with them, but there is no gap coverage. It's my understanding that you can't trip lease on it. But again, so much stuff has changed since the first of the year that if that's important to you or if training's important to you, mention that to your agent. Uh, but as I said, I was trying to find something that worked for the most people. Is there a better coverage out there somewhere? Yeah, probably. But I was trying to appeal to the broadest market I could and help the most people I could. Let's get a couple more comments. How can they do that? Did you guys not sign a contract that they can raise the value of the truck and go up on the payments? So here's how they do that. This is great because you're right. We signed a contract and we either elected to have their camera or not have their camera. The catch is we also agreed to have insurance. And so Swift is saying, oh, we didn't do it. We didn't do it. Insurance did it. And so it's splitting hairs, but technically the insurance can change the requirements. So insurance can go up at any time, even though, um, and it not be Swift. So they don't have to do anything to the contract as long as insurance required it. Insurance could require that we put a big purple check mark on the grill. And if insurance required it, then we would have to do it or go get our own insurance. And that's why so many of us are going to get our own insurance. It's it's not, I mean, what they're doing, they can definitely do. And they're not violating their contract. Now, if they'd have came back and said, in my opinion, again, I'm not a lawyer. In my opinion, had they just said, "Oh, everybody's got to get a camera," that they would have had to amend the contract to allow that. But when they say, "Well, insurance is requiring it," it's not us. Then they can certainly do that. And if you do feel like that it's a violation of the law or your contracts, please take your contract to a lawyer and have it read. But I think they're okay because they're saying they didn't do it, the insurance did it. But fine print, always read the fine print at least 3 times. Yeah. And really, there's no fine print here because Swift themselves didn't change the contract. The insurance company did. Now, you could successfully make the argument that Swift is self-insured and they go through a brokerage and all that, so they're not directly self-insured, but they pretty much own the insurance company the way I understand it, and they're an underwriter on it and all that. So it's a gray area, but it's probably enough of a gray area that they're safe. And you know how these big companies are. I guarantee you they had their legal department look over it, and they're pretty confident in what they're doing. Do you know why the weekly prices of leases are different? Yeah, because the same reason the car dealerships are different at different locations. There's a million reasons. If you want to compare Prime versus Swift, the trucks are option different, the terms are different, things like that. Prime, for example, actually, they have two leases. They have one where you never own the truck, so you have to turn it in at the end of your lease. Swift, you have a balloon payment where you actually own it at the end of your lease. Prime's other one is a straight purchase. You end up putting down at least $14,000, and you have to be there. I think it's 6 months before they'll order the truck, and then it takes another 6 months to come in. So you're looking at a year at Prime before the truck would come in. Now you might get it at 9 or 10 months, but still, you cannot port the truck out of Prime. So once you put that down payment, you better hope it works, because if you leave, the truck don't go with you and all that money you invested is gone. With Prime, there is options. I mean, with Swift, there is options to port the truck out to another company, depending on what lease you're in. Again, with Prime, Swift, any company, read your uh, read your contract carefully and know what the ins and outs are. But that's a brief synopsis of how it works. Is a speeding ticket like you got hard if you're trying to get a company job as a driver? It hadn't been for me. I get a ridiculous amount of job offers every day. That ticket's almost 3 years old now, and it'll fall off soon. But I haven't had any company give me any grief over it. Now, once you start getting 3 or 4, then it's a little bit bigger deal. But 1 or 2, a lot of companies will work with you on it. And they cut the fuel surcharge again today. I've lost 600 a week since December. I can promise you my fuel bill has not gone down anywhere near 600. With the insurance hike, let's see, here's the rest of his comment. I'm down 700 per week on my take home pay. It's not going to work for me. Well, unfortunately, they go off the national average, and I forget the website, EI something, I think it is. My brain's scrambled today. There's a website you can go to where the government releases the national fuel average each week, and then you can look in your contract and see what your fuel surcharge is. So you and I might agree that it doesn't seem like fuel's going down, but Swift is unfortunately contractually bound to go by what the government says the national average is and to pay us what the contract says. So hopefully we'll see it turn around at some point, but it went down because the government said the national average went down. And you and I both know there's some politics there. They're trying to help certain political parties by lowering fuel prices right now because uh, whoever's in office when fuel prices go up or down, they get the credit whether they're directly responsible or not. That's why I'll never work at Swift. I'm still pretty happy here. You know, you talk about AB5 and all of these things, and what better way to avoid it than getting your own insurance and getting your own accountant like with Trucker CFO and becoming more independent. The less you're dependent on Daddy Swift to take care of you, the better you're going to be in the long term. And so um, I don't have a problem with this. I knew I was going to have to get my own insurance, and I just made the jump. I think it was last week I got my LLC, and I printed out a bunch of paperwork today and stuff. And I'm currently moving all my business related things to the Trucker Todd LLC name. And so uh, this is, for a long time, independent contractors have been called glorified company drivers. And now we're getting a chance to not be glorified company drivers, and a lot of guys are complaining about it, and I'm excited for it. I like the freedom and opportunity that this is going to provide us. And right now I haven't heard anything or seen anything that would make me leave Swift, but who knows what the future would hold. They're obviously changing a lot of things, and some of those things, quite frankly, I don't like. So I don't know what the future is going to hold, but I still like it here for now. And I get frustrated just like you guys do. Only thing is most people at Swift won't ever own the truck due to a huge balloon payment. Um, I would actually disagree, not about the owning the truck. You're right about that. Most people will never own the truck, but it's because most people don't stay at a job 3 or 4 years anymore. The average driver works at a company 6 months to a year. And if they don't save up enough to port the truck out, they'll just give the truck back and go somewhere else. And it's worse right now in this economy. So, I mean, there's a plethora of things that could happen. You could have personal problems, you could have health problems, you could go through a divorce, you could get custody of your children. Your parents could get sick and need you to take care of them. All of these things are reasons why people don't complete a lease. And there's more things that people don't like to admit. Some people are just bad with money. Some people are not business minded. They're great truck drivers, but they're not great business owners. And those things hinder a lot more people than the balloon payment. But yeah, the balloon payment definitely gets somebody. I don't think it gets that many people though, because a lot of the trucks can be rolled over to MRP. And you take an MRP truck, for example, that has a 3-year lease, and say the balloon payment is $30,000. If you can't save 10,000 a year, uh, then what are you doing? I mean, why lease a truck if you can't save $10,000 a year? Now I get it. There could be a major breakdown that wipes you out right at the end, but hopefully by that point, you're making enough money. You've got your own LLC. You've got a business account with a bank that would work with you. Things like that. Um, Now there are lease companies that'll do a dollar balloon payment at the end, and you and I know that what they do the last 6 months of your lease, they starve you out so that you don't get the title. And you guys know that me personally, I bought a truck for cash that I've got sitting at the house. The title just came in yesterday, and I'm about to go to work on it, fix a few little things, and then I'm going to put it to work. Hopefully with Swift, but if Swift don't want it, I'll put it to work somewhere else. And we'll have more videos and more information on that in the coming weeks, I'm sure. Guess I'll be at Nova Lines for a while. Yeah, if you're somewhere where you like it, I would stay there. That's something else we probably need to talk about. And we're going to get to the Contractors Corner insurance in a minute. Um, you know, I don't tell anybody to come to Swift. I say this is my experience. I like it here. If you want to come here, I'll help you. I'll give you all the information you want. To the best of my knowledge, it's been changing a lot lately, which is extremely frustrating. And I'll try to help you. But if you don't want to come here, that's fine. We can still be friends. If you, you know, if you don't want to do a lease purchase, I'm not telling any of you to do a lease purchase. As a matter of fact, I think most of you shouldn't do a lease purchase. But if you're going to do one, I'm going to try to help you. I'd like to talk to you before you do one and find out why you want to do it. And if you realize uh, the amount of work and commitment it's going to take to do it. If your answer is the only reason you want to do it is to make more money, I'm going to tell you don't do it, because there's no guarantee you're going to make more money. There's a there's a good chance you'll make more money, but there's also a decent chance you'll lose money. Anything can happen. There's three things you have to think about when you do a lease that affect your success. One is your knowledge of the industry. Two is how you're dispatched, either your dispatcher or the load board. And three is your equipment. If any of those three let you down, it's not impossible to make it, but it's very, very difficult. And so if you've got a lot of responsibilities at home, a lot of kids, things like that, I don't necessarily recommend a lease. If you're flat broke, I don't recommend a lease. You need to have some money saved up. And I say five to $10,000, and nobody does it. And then when they break down, I mean, I had a guy, well, I'm not going to tell any stories, but I've had several guys that they show up and they don't even have money for food. And I'm like, what happens if your truck breaks down on the first trip? How are you going to get a hotel? How are you going to feed yourself? Well, the company will help me out. Yeah, the company might help you out. They might advance you money. That's not in the contract. It's at their discretion. But even if they do, you're just digging a hole that you're going to have to dig out of. Imagine if you had five or $10,000 set up and you didn't have to borrow money from the company, how much better off you'd be. Was you have to get any information on the other insurance? Yeah, we need to get back to that, and it's coming up. So let's talk about ES Advantage for a minute, and then we'll jump back into the questions. ES Advantage. They were supposed to be on tonight. The guy that actually heads up the insurance um, was supposed to come on tonight. He didn't want to do video. He wanted to be on the phone. So I did a bunch of research over the weekend about how to do that because I don't have a mixer. And so I got that figured out. And he wasn't able to come on. And another guy that I know him mostly as the fuel card guy that I deal with, and he was going to come on and he was going to be able to answer a lot of questions, and they both canceled on me at the last minute. So I'm going to tell you what I know about it. They're using an insurance company called Seabright, and they made a special policy for Swift drivers through Contractors Corner, which is another YouTube channel that you may or may not have heard of. The insurance is a little higher than OIDA's in most cases, but they do have gap coverage. And so if gap coverage is important to you, that's the deal. They claim, like every insurance company, that they have a better claims process than Swift. And the fact is, most of us don't know because we hadn't had to file a claim yet. Um, it the problem with it is it's designed specifically for Swift drivers. So if you leave Swift, your insurance is going to go up significantly, and you got to be prepared for that. Um, the OIDA insurance, same thing. You're running it under Swift's numbers. So if you left Swift, it could go up, but probably not as significantly. And so um, both of those are options to you. And same thing, OIDA, I had the windshield, but that's not a claim as if I hit a deer or something like that. Every insurance company, Allstate doesn't make videos and commercials and go, we take forever to pay a claim. They talk about fast claims. Progressive, they all talk about fast claims, and you really never know till you're in that situation if they pay well or not. But it's I'm a little frustrated with them because I've been trying to get them on for 2 weeks, and they lead me to believe they're coming, and then they cancel at the last minute. And so it's a shame because had they presented a better option, I would have switched. And in a couple of weeks, if they present a better option, I might switch at that time. But here's the deal. I told them tonight, I said, hey, I got to run this story whether you guys come on or not, because uh, there's guys that are going to be behind the 8 ball in about 10 days. And they said they understood. They're nice guys over there. A lot of people think because of my beef with Contractors Corner that I've got a beef with ES Advantage, and I don't. I love their fuel card. I flat out love it. I save a fortune with it, but I just hadn't been able to get the information that I would have liked to have gotten from ES Advantage. Um, so that's about all I can say about them. I'm not going to get on here and trash them. And like I said, hopefully sometime in April we can bring them on. But at that point, it'll be really too little too late. And we may not bring them on at all at that point because everybody will have already had to make their decision. And so I can tell you I've had OIDA since November, and I've been very pleased with them. And that's about all I can tell you between the two. I'm on with you, brother. Well, thanks, Kurt. I'm glad you're here. Glad all of you are here. It's all about the dollar take home. Yeah, I agree. And I make a killing here. I really do. And for the most part, nobody messes with me. I've got a little frustrated lately when I go to some of these places and they say we don't have any freight. And I expressed some concern and frustration today about that because, uh, you know, they've been saying this for 6 or 7 months, and I know Chris has heard me talk about this. If you don't have freight, fine, do something about it. Get some broker loads, even though you make a little less on them. Spot some trailers at some locations where you're low in where your trailer pool is low. Do some things like that. Pull some stuff off the Night Swift logistics load board. Bring it over. Don't just sit there with your hands in your pockets going, we don't have any freight. It's a bad area. Well, where's a good area? Oh, everywhere's bad. Well, no, everywhere's not bad. There's thousands of trucking companies that are finding loads every day. And so you've got to find a solution. I gave this example to a few of you guys that called me. If my steer tire was flat in the morning when I woke up and I called Swift and I said, "Hey, I can't pick that load up. I've got a flat steer tire." They'd say, "Okay." If they called me a week later, said, "Hey, Todd, when are you going to pull a load?" "I can't. I got a flat steer tire." "Well, when are you going to get that fixed? What are you going to do about it?" That's what their response would be. And it's the same thing with the load board, with not the load board, well, the load board too, but with freight. If the deal is we don't have any freight, fine. What are you doing to fix that problem? And that's man, I'm going to get in trouble for tonight's video, but you guys just caught me on a night when I feel like telling it like it is. On a lease, got to plan just enough fuel to do the load on, unless you run across cheap fuel like in Oklahoma. Yeah, and it depends what part of the week it's in. Definitely that's the case at the end of a pay period. But I just that's another reason I like that Volvo I got at the house. It's 250-gallon tanks, and I can more strategically buy. This one will hold about 150 gallons when it's empty. And, you know, it calls it two 100-gallon tanks, but it's really not. And 150 gallons, you're having to fuel up about every other day. Thank you, Ryan. Prime was actually my first lease too. I did it back in 2004. I worked at Swift for 4.5 years, and I went to Prime and did my first lease there. And I probably could have made pretty good money there. I did okay, but I didn't take it seriously back then. I was young and immature and wild, and I definitely left a lot of food on the table that could have been made had I worked a little harder and a little more disciplined. And so it was a different time back then. But yeah, so let's move on to, I think we've covered the insurance pretty well. And now let's move on to this other deal. Let's answer James's deal here. Well, it's the truth, whether they like it or not. Something has to be corrected to keep the operators moving. Yeah, and I think what they're about to find out is they've had record applications. Everybody's applying, everybody wants to come here. And they're going to see that slow down with these changes they're making, and word's going to get out. Drivers aren't going to sit here week after week and run 1,800 miles. And I haven't had that, but I know a lot of guys have. And yeah, I claw and scratch and do the things I do to get good loads, but some guys just aren't going to bother. They're going to move on to the next company. And I think with the insurance and the cameras and everything, if they don't get it together pretty quick, they're going to see a mass exodus of drivers. And I hope not. I like it here. I really do. But you have to take care of the drivers. And if that means, if that means shutting down some dedicated runs for a while and spreading that freight out or taking some stuff off of Swift Express, that means doing what you got to do to take care of your over the road fleet, because that's where it's at, in my opinion. And I know people are going to make fun of me, say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think that's the truth. I'm finding with this low freight, even here at Prime, it's an issue. They are sending me to places I've never been to, and even ran Northeast regionally. Yeah. So, but again, at least Prime's taking care of you. They're not having you sit 2 or 3 days and tell you there's nothing. Now, that's a good point that Poplars makes here, is you have to be flexible. I've pulled some loads lately that I normally wouldn't do, but there has to be something. I had a Memphis planner who was extremely rude call me this morning, and she sent me a terrible load. It was like over 300 miles of deadhead, and then it was like 200 loaded miles. And she said, "Well, that's all I got. Take it or leave it." I said, "Okay, I'll leave it." She's like, "Well, you're going to sit there." Okay, it's that's fine with me. I got a lot of stuff to do anyway. I had 2 video conference calls today. I got this live show to do tonight, and I'd rather do those things than pull a bad load. And well, it wasn't an hour later, she had another load for me. And so it's, I don't know if there's really no freight or if they're trying to get rid of the low hanging fruit first, but you got to be selective to a point. Now, I realize I said a minute ago to take some stuff you don't want to take, but at the same time, do stuff that makes sense for your business that's not going to bankrupt you. You know, it doesn't do any good to work all week if you're not going to bring a check home. And if I do 300 and something miles at 85 cents a mile and then 200 and something loaded, that's not going to be a good outcome. And she's sitting there telling me there's no loads, but I'm looking on the load board and I'm seeing several loads for tomorrow. But I've got to be back to Louisville, so I'm trying to strategically plan. I was young back then, completed my lease and didn't look back. Oh wow, that's great. Yeah, I'm kicking myself. If I'd have known back then what I know now, there's no telling where I'd be now. It's like the last 4 years or so, I just everything clicked and I caught on. My good friend Daryl's here. Ain't Swift 8 billion in debt? I'm not sure where you got that number from. They did have some debt, but they merged with Night Transportation, and I'm not sure where you got that number. But they're obviously not. They just bought U.S. Express for $808 million, and that doesn't include some of the additional fees that'll be tacked on there. So they found the money somewhere. Sitting at the Loves in Belleville, Kansas, trying to make my way to Albuquerque. Good old Albuquerque. I got in trouble for saying that too. It's my least favorite terminal in the company. It's just it's in massive need of a remodel. But so let's talk about this U.S. Express thing. So they're going to still run the company separately, kind of like they run Knight Swift separately, and it's probably not going to have much of an impact on us. I know I had a U.S. Express driver contact me, and he was hoping it would lead to better lease purchase trucks on their side. Who knows? I would think it might lead to cheaper trucks for sure because it increases their buying power. But I don't know that for a fact. That's speculation on my part. I would think it leads to better shop rates. I mentioned I saved 120 on an oil change at a TA, and so it may lead to better discounts on stuff like that. Um, but it's too soon to tell. I don't think it's going to have a big effect on us, especially if they're going to leave U.S. Express and Variant the way they are. Um, it's not going to be an increase in freight or anything, I wouldn't think, because they'll still be pulling for their customers and we'll still be pulling for ours. It said in that article that it'll increase Swift's revenue base by 30%. So I would think that it'll make them more financially stable for sure. If somebody increased your income or your revenue 30%, it would make you more financially stable. And so hopefully it'll lead to some improvements at US Express. Um, I got a good friend that's also, I've got a guy I know, I wouldn't call him a good friend, that he used to work at US Express and he didn't have a lot of good things to say about him. But, maybe Knight Swift will make some positive changes and it'll be a better place to work. It might be a place that one of us is working at in a few years and talking about how much they've improved from what they used to be. Um, Swift has improved a lot since Knight got in the mix, in my opinion. But and I'm surprised I'm saying that. But yeah, it was definitely a surprise I didn't see coming, and I appreciate James sending me that story so I could get it out to you guys. So let's see what else have we got that we need to talk about here. Anybody got any questions on the cameras, on the insurance, on this US Express Night Swift buyout or any of that? We can sure try to hit it. There wasn't a ton of details today. I'm sure more details will come out in the coming weeks. If you've got any questions that you don't want to put here, my email's there, my in the little banner going across the bottom of the screen. My uh, website's there. You guys go check it out. I'm getting ready to put a bunch more information on there. And then I put the phone number for OIDA, put Linda Young's name there. And I also put the phone number for ES Advantage. And I can put the link one more time in the comments for the fuel card I've got if you guys want to check that out. You just fill out a few, it's like 4 or 5 questions, and then they'll call you back and get you set up. And they say 55 cents savings. I beat that almost every time. And oftentimes you can save over $1 a gallon depending on where you're at in the country. Yeah, this is a good point Chris makes. At the terminals, it's only Smart Drive and Netrodyne. Samsara and Lytics, you have to get on your own. And the Smart Drive and the Netrodyne, you buy the camera and Swift pays for the service. Samsara and Lytics, you buy the camera and you pay for the service, but you give Swift access to it. For me, if you had to have Swift insurance, maybe your driving record's bad or something, the Samsara would be the best of the 4. But you're going to have to buy that directly from Samsara's website, and it's going to run you a little over $1,500 for a 1-truck operation. And now I don't know if Swift has any discount plans or anything in place or not. That'd be something you'd have to work out with Swift. When they tell me there's no loads, I kindly tell them, okay, I'm going to cook me up a steak and potato on the grill. Total of silence. Before you know it, a load shows up. Yeah, I did that in Las Vegas. I called and I said, hey, I need a load and I needed to go east. And they said, well, we don't have anything. And this was on a Friday. I said, well, there's a hotel in front of me and I'm fixing to go book a room and stay the weekend here if y'all don't have a hotel, if y'all don't have a load. And all of a sudden it was like, give us till 2 o'clock. Let us look. And it was like maybe an hour later, they had a load going cross country, coast to coast. But they're used to, and this ain't just at Swift, this is all these planners. They're used to drivers crying and begging, oh, I got a family. I need to make money. Poor me, poor me. Just tell them, okay, I'm going to do this. Call me when you got something. Or a couple of times I said, I'm going to deadhead home. I don't even get halfway home. And they're like, oh, we got a load. We got a load. Nope, it's too late now. I'm going home. We'll take a look at it on Monday. Now, is that the best business move to make? Probably not. But I don't care. I'm not going to be, I don't bluff and I'm not going to be bullied. So I'm going to do what's best for me. I would love to pull freight, but if we truly don't have freight, then I'd love to go home. And so, or I'd love to go to a hotel and take the weekend off. And you have to get to that. You don't want to be a jerk, but you have to get to the point where you don't find yourself begging. It's one thing to claw and scratch and try to get loads and build relationships and things like that. It's another thing to beg and grovel and demean yourself to try to get loads. Why they call it useless express. That's hilarious. Oh man, you guys. Those boring dudes at Contractors Corner, I think that's what they call themselves, are probably PO'd. They didn't get this information out before you did. Well, let's talk about Contractors Corner. I'm going to promote them. Um, they are doing a seminar in Las Vegas. I think it's April 5th, and they claim they've got room for 40 people. Now, they were selling tickets for this event for $150 a person, but they got a sponsor for the show, and now you can go for completely free. And so, if you're going to be in Vegas and you like their content, it might be the show for you. Now, they're going to have a couple of guest speakers. I think they've got a Swift OOC that's going. One of their viewers is going to do some maintenance and give away some tools or something like that. And I'm sure they'll have, 6 or 8 people show up. And I wish them the best. But my deal is they announce on their show pretty regularly that they've been at this for a year and a half. And I'm not sure what they're going to do in a multi-day seminar that they haven't already done in their videos in the last year and a half. What kernels of knowledge are they going to have to share after they've been making weekly videos for a year and a half? Maybe there's something. If there's some breaking information that comes out, one of you guys is there, share it with me. I'm going to Matt's. I won't be able to make it to Matt's and to their seminar, but maybe I'll catch the next one, especially if it's free. It I bet I'm not welcome there, by the way. But anyway, if you guys want to check that out, you can check them out. They should be live right now as well. Uh, I know they watch even while they're doing their show. They said last Tuesday they were watching. They watch my view count, and they said they get about the same number of views I do regularly. And that's true. During the live, they do. The problem is my people work, and we're not on dedicated runs or special Swift deals. And so I get a lot in the replay. And I watched their video last week. Some people sent me some clips. I went back and watched. And at the point where they made that comment that they get the same views as me, I paused it and went and looked. They had 140 views and I had over 500. And then I went back and looked at the past, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks since I've been doing this Tuesday show. And I beat them every single week, either 4-1 or 5-1. And so while it's true on the actual live broadcast, they come close to me on certain weeks if they have a good guest or a good topic. There's no way in the replay that they come anywhere near me. I've got a lot of people that watch me at a later time when they can. Some of you watch me over the weekend, and honestly, some people watch them, and then when they go off, they come watch me, or they watch me, and then when I go off, they go watch them. I don't know why those guys feel like it needs to be a competition. I don't get it. I mean, it's real important to them, and I just keep doing my thing. The way you win, you don't have to win by trashing people. Just come on here and put on good shows, answer people's questions, tell the truth. If you make a mistake, say, "Hey, I made a mistake. I thought it was this, it wasn't this, it's that." And you go on. But I'm sure my name will come up multiple times in Las Vegas during this seminar, and that's fine. That's fine. I bet they'll bring a ball pit like 2 to 3 days into their. Oh man, it. You know, I'll tell you the truth. I wish that them and I could have made peace. I think that ship has sailed because just like this weekend, I was trying to figure out how to integrate telephone calls into my live stream like they do on theirs. And it would have been great to call Charlie and say, "Hey, how are you doing that? Can you teach me?" And, pay whatever money I need to pay and be able to take phone calls. But they are determined to do anything they can to try to bring me down, which is funny because I just spent the majority of this show talking about their insurance and saying, make sure you mention Contractors Corner and all this. But if I was to call him and ask him for any kind of help or knowledge, it wouldn't be forthcoming. And that's because they're not out to help drivers. They're out to help themselves, in my opinion. And so they want to have their event in Las Vegas. I hope it's a big hit. I don't think it would have been a big hit at 150 a ticket, but maybe since they got a sponsor to donate, maybe it will be a big hit. Now think about that for a second. $150 times 40 people, which is how many they said they wanted to have there. That's $6,000. That means they found a sponsor to donate $6,000 to that deal. So I hope it works out for them. Hey, Pamela, thanks for coming in tonight. Let's see. Do you think it's profitable for Swift or other owner operators for Swift to be hiring so many drivers? Well, here's what I think. Swift, uh, what they sell, and that's what you always have to look at when you're chasing the dollar. What are you selling? Swift sells capacity. So they tell these warehouses, hey, you need to hire us because we've got all these trucks, we've got 75,000 trailers, and that's their big selling point. So you have to keep a big driver base. Then you have to go look at what their analysts say. Their analysts think that we're at the bottom and things are starting to come back up. The last thing Swift wants to have happen is the market to rebound and loads to come back, and then they don't have any drivers. The other thing you have to think about is between Knight and Swift, there's roughly 22,000 drivers. Even if you're the perfect company, you're going to have several hundred quit every week for the reasons I mentioned earlier: health problems, family problems, things like that. So you have to have a constant hire going on. Now, US Express has a ton of dedicated accounts, from what I understand. And so it makes sense that that might be a profitable venture for them, especially if they could integrate some of the back office stuff. I get why they did it. It could be, Knight and Swift do a lot of back office stuff together, and it cuts their overhead, and it might be a good deal for them. Now, it's kind of like the NASCAR thing. It might be good, but how does it look publicly? And that's the part we don't know yet. It, you know, it definitely, the NASCAR thing upset some drivers. I got a good laugh out of it for a couple of videos, and this is going to upset some drivers too. Anytime there's a buyout, US Express will have some drivers that'll quit over this. Swift will have some drivers that quit over this. But the question's always how many. It might be a lot, might be not that many. Might be a lot of US Express drivers that go, oh, good, I'm glad Knight Swift bought us. Maybe things will get better. Um, you just never know. That stuff we won't know till later this year, till everything finalizes. But I don't think it's going to hurt either side, really. I don't think I'll ever find the need to watch any of their videos again. Once is enough. Well, and they got people over there that feel that way about me, and they find a way every week to mention me and make fun of me and make fun of my listeners, and that's okay. I just don't see the point in it. Can you imagine? Just think about this. Instead of them doing their little seminar, that was condescending. I shouldn't have said little seminar. I'm sorry. Instead of them doing their seminar in Las Vegas, can you imagine if Swift had a booth at Matt's and them and me showed up together and talked to drivers and did things like that? How much more productive that'd be. Instead of them, getting people to not come on my show like they've done, what if they got behind it? They're really ticked that I do a Tuesday show, but is the way to get me to move my show to another night to attack me constantly, or maybe to try to work with me and see if they can get me to bend? Now, you guys saw I came on late tonight. It's tough doing a Tuesday and Thursday show, but it's even tougher on other nights of the week. There's some of you that want me to do a show 7 nights a week, and I couldn't do that unless I quit driving. And I can't. I'm not at a point where I could quit driving yet. That may come later this year, where I could retire and do this full time, but I'm not quite there yet. So I still need to drive the truck and do the things I do. But Yeah, it's a shame we can't find a way to work together. Glad you're succeeding, Todd. Stay away from the YouTube truck and trash. Yeah, I didn't realize until recently how many there was. I was kind of in my own little world. Um, it's funny when I talked to the guy that does the music for my recorded videos. This is why I do this the other day, and he's the head of the recruiting department of another trucking company. And we were talking, and when I messaged him the first time about using that song, I had 390 subscribers, and this channel's just took off. When I left Dart and came here, I had something like 3,000 subscribers. And now here we are knocking on the 5,000 door. I'm trying to hit 5,000 before I go to Matt's. That's kind of a personal goal I've set on myself. But it seemed like when I hit 4,000, I got introduced to a whole new crowd of people, some good, some bad. But there's people that openly resent me for trying to help. They don't want me helping drivers. There's people that openly resent me for liking it here at Swift. And so I, I guess I was a little naive. I didn't realize uh, the other side of it like I do now. There's people running background checks on me. There's people trying to contact my family, uh, doing all kinds of things like I'm a politician or something. And I've never come on here and claimed to be perfect, but it's they're trying to find some morsel of dirt that they can dig up on me and use against me to try to embarrass me or bring down the channel. And it's just I don't know why you'd want to hurt anybody trying to help drivers, even if you don't agree with everything they say. But there's definitely people trying to do it. I watched some trucker videos before sleeper berth. It's scary to see new drivers do their pre-trip, post-trip wrong, like hitting their tires with their hand or pull out. Oh yeah, we had a guy when I worked at another company. You've heard me talk about. I worked for a company for about 3 years that I was home every other day there in Lubbock. We had one guy that within a week's time he pulled out from under two trailers and dropped them, and they didn't fire him. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, it just takes a second to get under there and make sure your locking jaw's latched, and to do a tug test and things like that. And it's amazing. It's amazing how many people don't even walk around their truck in the morning. Forget a proper pre-trip. They don't do anyone. They just hop in the driver's seat, wait 5 to 10 minutes, and take off. And I, it's a new breed we got out there now for sure. What about getting Brett or someone to come on the live to answer some questions? That would be a great idea. And when I started this live show, Brett Stewart and the head of Night Swift Safety both said they would like to come on this show. Brett talked about maybe coming on once a month, and the head of Night Swift Safety said he wanted to come on in February and maybe quarterly and talk with me. And since that time, um, they have both stated that their schedules was such that they didn't know when they could come on. There's people that have speculated that another YouTube channel that's influential with Swift may have had something to do with that. Those guys deny it and say they haven't. But all I know is when this show started, everybody wanted to come on, and now everybody's got a really busy schedule. So far, the only one that has come on has been Michelle, and she has said that she would come on again, but I haven't asked her lately. And so that's where we're at on that. But the short answer to your question, I'd love to have Brett on if he wants to come on. I'd like to have the head of Night Swift Safety come on if he wants to come on. Uh, it's an open invitation any Tuesday except the last Tuesday of the month when we do Trucker CFO. And I'm in talks to have another one of those slots filled. So they need to They need to do it pretty quick, or the days and times that I can do it might be pretty limited. If you're happy, that's all that matter. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Charles. Brother, there's always be haters. Yeah. Yeah, I would always have one that say usually about one a week when the channel was small, they'd say something mean, and it didn't really bother me. I'd laugh usually, and now it's gone past the talk, and it's like people trying to destroy my life, find out where I live, call my job. There was people calling Swift pretending to be me and cussing out office staff. And I know Jason had the same problem, people calling pretending to be him and cussing out office staff. And folks, I'll save you the trouble. They've got caller ID. They know two of my three phone numbers. And if it's not coming from my phone, they're going to know. And I realize you can spoof numbers and stuff, but they know my character, and I'm not going to call and cuss anybody out. If I'm miserable here, I'll leave. I've got plenty of opportunities, but I really do like it here for now. No place is perfect. Is it possible to use Mudflap app with the fuel card? No, because you have to put in a credit or debit card. The reason is um, when you put the Swift card in, A, it's not a credit or debit card. It's a what they call a corporate card. And B, even if you could do that, it would uh, it would try to revert to the Swift discount or rebate as they call it instead of the Mudflap discount. So just get you a little money nest egged and then use Mudflap or use ES Advantage. And it kind of snowballs once you start saving. Like I used Mudflap yesterday and saved 76 cents a gallon. So that makes it easier the next time to use it because of those savings. And in a week or two, you won't even realize you're paying for fuel. Brett is on the other show right now. That doesn't surprise me at all. And it kind of leads credence to those guys that say um, that maybe Contractors Corner had something to do with them not coming on. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Brett, he's got a lot on his plate. Maybe he forgot that I'm over here or something. I don't know. I can tell you it's horribly frustrating. And so that's all I can say about that for now. I can't bring Brett on next week because I'll have Trucker CFO. Potentially we could bring him on the following week. But it just, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's sometimes it is what it is. It makes sense to come on your show with 5,000 subscribers versus the other channel. Well, it brings up a question. And since I've already gone down this rabbit hole, I might as well finish it and completely get myself in trouble. You got a channel with 5,000 subscribers, and you've got a channel with roughly 700 subscribers. So, in theory, I'm 7 times bigger than them. Why would you want to go on a channel 7 times smaller when you could go on a channel 7 times bigger? What would the reason be? Is one of them related to somebody in upper management? Are they on the company dime? Are they being paid? While you're on that channel, take a look at that sound equipment Charlie's using and recognize he's always at home too. So he's got a dedicated run that allows him to be off 2 or 3 days a week. He runs super solo with his wife, and he's got several $1,000s worth of sound equipment there, a fancy microphone. And he's on a non-monetized channel because YouTube doesn't monetize you till you get at least 1,000 subscribers and so many watch hours. And I doubt they've got enough watch hours because not enough people watch their stuff. And they've said they're not monetized, so we're not doing nothing either. Uh, so why would you invest all this money into a channel that you've said you don't care how big it gets? You're not monetized. And my answer would be I don't think they did invest the money. I believe that they have outside sponsorships. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And so I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. It blows my mind. Uh, they, they say numbers don't matter. And then Swift makes a video on Facebook bragging that they had almost 3,000 subscribers. So they're bragging about being a little over half my size. And I don't get it. I As enthusiastically as I support the company, you would think they would get behind me and we'd run with it. But for some reason, um, I get a lot of obstacles thrown at me, and I don't get it. But we're just going to keep doing our thing, and guests can cancel, and they can make their phone calls, and trolls can try to get my background and try to contact my family and call my work. And I'm going to keep doing what I do. And those of you that call me for help, you're still going to get help, and we'll see what happens. I believe if you keep doing the right thing long enough, you get results. And if you do the wrong thing long enough, you get caught. Uh, James agrees with 601 Trucker about the 5,000 subscribers. That is correct. I don't get any money from Swift other than my settlements, and if you guys list me as referrals. There's no under the table money. There's no sponsorship deals. Nothing like that. Nothing from Swift. What you see is what you get. I had a friend go to Roadrunner because of you and was pretty successful and saved up and bought a truck. Oh, really? I wonder if it's somebody I know. Have I talked to him on the phone before? Uh, Roadrunner was an interesting experience too. If y'all hadn't watched those videos, you ought to go check them out. I did really well there, but man, I lost my marbles a couple of times. One time I was in Commerce City, California, and I was there to pick up a load at one of their terminals, and they lost the trailer, like didn't know where it was. And my dispatcher said something that pushed my buttons. He said, "Well, don't worry about it, Todd. You've made enough money this week." And oh man, I was like, "So there's a ceiling here, huh? A glass ceiling." I said, "Why don't you tell me exactly how much I should make each week? And then I'll just quit working when I hit that income level." And he ended up apologizing to me after he thought about it. But I did not like hearing, "Don't worry about it. You've made enough money this week." I'll never forget that. Brett never calls me back ever. Don't feel bad. Well, now that's the one thing I can say. He does call me back. He does answer my text, but for some reason he's reluctant to come on this show. I don't know why. I could speculate as well as the best of you. I have a million theories about why, but I just know when I announced I was doing this show, at first they were all excited to come on here, and then all of a sudden their schedules got full. So he is a busy guy. Maybe it is really that full, but it really kind of shoots an arrow in that theory when he's on another channel right now. Pass out $100 to everyone, and you'll still have haters after they use your money you gave them. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. Company I drive for gives on-time awards and safety awards. Stick pin for your jacket. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, Steve, that's awesome. That's awesome. I Now I'm gonna have to go watch that show though after this. I They tend to do that. They man, I didn't want to do this. Let's talk about Contractors Corner a little more. Now, they're giving financial advice. That's what this seminar is about. They say we're all about the numbers, we're all about the numbers, but neither one of them ever put a settlement up. Have you noticed that? Go back to their channel and ask them to put a settlement up, but not one. Ask them to put up, say, 6 weeks in a row so you can look at their settlements. Silence, they'll skip that question. Uh, so I don't know how you can give financial advice, but we haven't seen your settlements. There's no proof out there that Charlie or Jeff is doing better than any of the rest of us. And so I don't know. I would like to know why Brett hadn't come on this channel yet, but but I like the guy. He's the reason I came to Swift. And like I said, he's really good about answering my questions. And anytime I've asked him about coming on the show, he says he's got to check his schedule and get back to me. And that's about as far as it goes. And I've emailed the guy, the head of Night Swift Safety, twice since he said he'd like to come on in February, and he has not responded back. And so I don't know. Sometimes, that there's channels, and Contractors Corner is one of them. They'll bend themselves in a pretzel to defend Swift, and that's not me. I'm going to tell you the truth. I view myself as an umpire, and when there's a foul ball, I'm going to call it a foul. When there's a strike, I'm going to call it a strike. And when it's a home run, I'll say that too. And there's a lot of things that Swift does really, really, really well, but there's a lot of things Swift does that frustrates me. And I guess it would be that way at any company, but these things are stuff we could fix really, really easy. And now we're getting to a point that when they do want to come on the show, I may not want to at this point. It's kind of like the girl in high school that you chased and chased and chased. And then she finally says, "All right, I'll go out with you." You're like, "Nah, it's not worth it. Never mind." And that may be where we're getting to real quick, to where, this channel's growing as fast as it ever has without them. And if they don't want to be a part of that growth, that's okay. But if they do, it's time to get on board. And I think it'd be hilarious if about 20 or 30 of you went over there and like, "Why ain't you on Trucker Todd's show?" And I'm sure somebody's over there saying, "Trucker Todd's talking about y'all right now." And I'm sure they're watching because like I said, they mentioned last week that our views were about the same. So I know you're watching out there. Is Roadrunner still a thing? I could have sworn I heard they folded, but then I heard another channel is pulling one of their loads, terminal to terminal runs. No, they're still around. And if you're wanting to do lease purchase, it's my understanding you have to be a team to do lease purchase. But if you have your own truck, they'll take you as a solo, from what I understand. And you could always go to SFI or Lone Mountain or somewhere like that and get a truck and go to Roadrunner if you want to. Their CEO recently left, or president, whatever you want to call him, and went to another company, from what I understand. So I don't know who's running the outfit now, but there was a lot of good people there when I was there. It just, I got the opportunity to go back to Dart and run the load board and kind of do my own thing. And so that's what I did. But I still have friends that work at Roadrunner. I wasn't a big fan of their payroll department, but the rest of the departments were awesome. He went through a lot, but stuck it out. His name is James. Ah, see, I know so many Jameses that, but I'm glad he made it. Is he still there and doing well? Yeah, I saw a troll ask them why they don't use their own insurance that they promote, and Charlie told that troll that he did now. And I've heard Charlie say in several videos that he's not using the fuel card they promote because he had had some financial problems, but I think he's using it now. I don't know. It's the problem is, their famous saying is, "We put it on the glass. We put it on the glass. Put it on the glass. Let's see." And they don't want to do that. And so usually that happens when you've got something to hide. And I don't mind putting my numbers on the glass, but the problem is it's very, very easy the way I do my stuff to mislead you. And I don't want to mislead anybody either intentionally or accidentally. My numbers look really, really good. And, but you got to remember it's not showing the fuel on there because I have so many different ways to buy fuel and I've got outside insurance. And so I've tried to get away from doing income videos, but then I don't get on here every week and say, "I need to see your numbers. I'm all about numbers and my numbers are better than yours. And I know more than you do." And all of that. I'm just saying, "Hey, I'm doing good. I'm happy with my income. If you need help, I'll help you." But I got a feeling if we saw their numbers, we'd be disappointed. Let's just say that. I wonder if Swift does any awards for, not that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of any awards. Who do we turn in our insurance info to? I'm buying my policy this week. It depends where you get it. Both TranStar and OIDA should should have the contact information to send it to TranStar. TranStar is the insurance people that have to approve it. I would contact Rapid Response, and if your insurance doesn't have that information, and they can walk you through how to do it. Is Mr. Moy still alive? Yeah, and I asked about him when I was in Phoenix. He is still an investor in the company, a significant investor. Um, he's not the majority owner anymore, but he is a significant investor, and he's still involved. He's one of those people. I'd really like to meet him because I worked when he ran the company, and I got a lot of positive thoughts about him. And I would just like to tell him thank you because my first 4.5 years at Swift, he was great. We could have a 30-second conversation, but there's a lot of people that feel like me that he did a lot of good things. And I remember his open door policy back then. I never had to use it, but you could walk in and tell his secretary you wanted to talk to him. And if he wasn't busy, he'd sit down with you and talk to you. And, he was very pro driver. Everybody that I ever talked to that met him said he was very pro driver. And so I would definitely like to meet him if that opportunity ever come about, but I doubt I'll ever get to. Swift buying up companies taking over. I'm on dedicated for them. Yeah, if you can't beat them, join them. I'll be back. The wife requires my immediate attention. All right, Daryl, have fun. Take care of those honeydews. Trucker Todd here. Time for another video. What's up? Yeah, I can. That's normally the recorded video line, but we can do it here. Hey, Trucker Todd here, and time for another video. Didn't gross, but 9,200 last week. Hey, that's awesome. That is awesome. Chris wants to know what company. A better question though, Michael. Let's go back to that. What did you net out of that 9,200? Because there's some of these Chicago-based trucking companies that they say, oh, you can make 10 to 12,000 a week gross, but they nickel and dime you to death, and you still net 1,800, 2,000. So I'm curious what you netted out of that. Do you think it's possible to be pretty successful using Swift fuel card? Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, I typically save $1,300 to $1,500 a month uh, using my own fuel card. So you can make a living using Swift's fuel card, but why would you cheat yourself out of 15 to 1,300 a month, or 13 to 1,500 a month? I got that backwards. It's it's you're going to fuel either way, so uh, you might as well save where you can. I think it's funny that you're saying Swift only gives 5-cent fuel discounts, and I'm seeing Love's advertising. Yeah, I agree. The one thing you'll never hear me say, you can go back to my first video at Swift. I've never said the fuel discount at Swift is great. And I've, in the beginning, before I had my own fuel card, I was advocating real hard for Mudflap. I still use Mudflap sometimes. Then I started advocating for the Fuel Book app because it kind of tells you some more of the mom and pop places where you can save. And now I've got that ES Advantage fuel card, and that's where the real savings at. I would not be using the regular Swift fuel card on a regular basis. A little over $3,600. Okay, well that's not bad. So you're taking home about 40%, something like that, just doing the numbers in my head. So yeah, that's pretty good. How many miles a week are you running to get that 3,600? And do you have tolls coming out or any of that out of that 3,600, or is that all in? And is that dry van or reefer? There's just so many questions we could ask. Oh, let's see here. I just fueled with Swift Card on Fuel Book, 339 a gallon. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Okay, Michael, that's excellent then. If you're doing 24 to 2,800 miles a week and you're taking home 3,600, that's excellent. That's netting over $1 a mile. And only thing we can say at that point is congratulations. I would not quit what you're doing. I'd ride that pony as long as you can. Good thing about having your own fuel card too, that gives you a business line of credit, which becomes very important later on in life. Yeah, the ES Advantage one doesn't really build you any credit. It's more of a prepaid type card, but there I've been offered ones that go by credit. I did some commercials for A to B, and I've never used it, but people have kind of mixed reviews about it. But it goes off your credit. And now that I've got an LLC, I qualify for it if I want it. Cash is King promotes the TVC fuel card, gives you it's $59, $59.99 a month, gives you legal help and allows you free showers at Love's. Yeah, my fuel card also gives you 2 free showers a day and unlimited drink refills, and you can use it as a maintenance card, and it has a lot of benefits, um, and you don't have to pay a monthly fee. Um, I would encourage all of you to just check out several fuel cards and find one that works for you. Obviously, I like the one I'm using. That's the one I recommend. Cash is King. He's a good guy. He likes the one he's using. Find one that has the fuel stops you want and the benefits you want and the savings you want. Me and the bank own my truck and trailer. I've owned my trailer 6 years. Open deck is what I do. Ah, well, see, that's an important fact that we didn't have until now. You can't compare flatbed with dry van or reefer or anything else or tanker. What you're doing is great, but you're working a lot harder than the average Joe is or the average Jane is having a flatbed. And so that is good money, though. Yeah, they don't want us to advertise the truck stop chain that we get the free showers and drinks at, but I'm sure you guys can figure it out. And they'll tell you on the phone. They just don't want me saying it in a video. But yeah, there's some definite benefits there. It has a national tire account on it, which you can get tire discounts. You can run your maintenance through it, and you get reduced labor rates. It has a road service benefit. I mean, I'd prefer them to tell you about it because as soon as I get one minute detail wrong, uh, there'll be 30 people saying I'm lying to try to get people to sign up, and there'll be 30 more people saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. So I can just tell you there's a ton of benefits, and check them all out. Get them all for. I mean, if you can do it, get TVC and ES Advantage and try them both out and see which one you find yourself using more. That's what I would do. Chris says ES Advantage all the way. Yep, that's the one I recommend. Thanks for the info. I'm already a TVC Pro Driver member. I'm going to check into that. Good deal, Marcus. Back in the day, I used to tarp a lot. After I got my trailer paid for, I turned it. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a little better. I At Swift, I don't have a need for a trailer, but if I left Swift with that Volvo I've got, there's some temptation there to get my own trailer. The rates are better, and I just don't know. I've got a friend that works at Roadrunner, coincidentally, that he had 2 trailers, and he had a lot of problems with shippers and receivers damaging the insides of his trailers and then saying, "Oh, we didn't do that. It was already like that." And he found that he was having to get his trailers repaired a lot at his own expense because nobody would take credit for the damage they did. Nothing wrong with having multiple. That's what I say. It's just like this week I used Mudflap. Next week it may be ES Advantage. They're all going to have their target markets, and if you can afford more than one, then get it. Now, if you get TS or TVC and you're paying $60 a month for a membership fee, I'd probably use that one a lot because you're paying a fee for it. But certainly get get what you can get, and then if you find a better deal down the road, get it too. Nope, nope. To get the free showers, do you have to spend a certain amount? Nope. When you get the card, they register you with that uh, truck stop, and you have the unlimited showers. The reason though that you can lose it though is like if one time you fuel with your Swift card instead of your ES Advantage, sometimes Loves will kick you off and you have to call ES Advantage and get added. Oops, I said the truck stop. Sometimes that trucking chain will kick you off their list and you will have to call ES Advantage and get added back on there. But for the most part, it's worked flawlessly. And I did that one day. I uh, I fueled with the Swift card, and then the next time I fueled with the ES Advantage, and it added me right back on there. But one time I did it, and I did have to call and get added back on. You also get triple points for any of your fuel purchases, so it's got a lot of advantages. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Minnie. Yeah, got him. LOL. Yeah, I'm in trouble now. It's like tonight I hit all the check marks. I've done everything I can do to get myself in trouble tonight. Card has to be used one time through the month. You can buy anything to use it. Yeah, they changed that. Now you can't use it as a debit card. They cut the debit card part off. And I don't know. I've had months where I didn't use it and I still got the triple points. I mean the free showers, but it hadn't been an issue because I always save with it, so I use it pretty regularly. I started like a lot of you guys and gals started out leasing. Yeah, yep. It's definitely a good way to start. I think in the future I'm going to start recommending that people just do it until they can save up enough money to buy their own truck, and that's, I've been against that for a while for a lot of reasons. And I don't mean finance one, I mean pay cash for one. And I may do a video about that for too long and explain how my thinking has evolved on that. So once you have these, no, you still use your reward cards. You still use your reward cards. Is it any of the truck stops you mentioned? It's one of the big five. And if I said who they were, you would know instantly. Yeah, I agree. You still use rewards cards. And I buy my fuel through the apps. So if I go to TA, I use the TA app to start the pump. If I go to Love's, I use the Love's app to start the pump. I don't find myself buying a lot of fuel at Pilot Flying J though, for whatever reason. Every trailer I pull, I take pictures when I drop it. Keeps me out of any crazy stuff. That's a great idea, Joe. And Joe, especially on the deal he does, I'd be taking a lot of pictures too if I was him and keeping them for a month or two. He is on kind of like a local deal, hauling milk, and so he's got a different. I think he has the same truck most of the time, but he's pulling different trailers pretty regularly, I think. Is it all of them or just certain locations? If you're talking about the benefits, it's just at one truck stop chain. Yep, Yep, it gives you platinum. I thought he was asking which truck stops have the benefits. Yeah, it just makes you platinum with that truck stop chain. Been thinking the play anymore isn't lease or lease purchase, but to buy direct from a dealer at some point, to be honest. I'm tired of playing these damn price lease games. Yeah, the reason I say I think you should buy cash, and again, I'm gonna have to make a video about this, but uh, if you ever had something happen, you remember like we were talking about family problems, something like that. If you've got a bank finance truck, it's the bank still wants their money. They don't care what's going on. If you've got one that you paid cash for, even if it's a 30 or $40,000 truck, you could sell it or you could park it in your backyard and you'd have it if you needed it at a later time. And when you, I'm trying to avoid the finance. And now saying that, if that Volvo craps out on me after a month or two, I might have to finance one if I hadn't built my reserves up enough to go pay cash for another one. But uh, definitely lease should be a stepping stone and not a way of life, in my opinion. There are cheaper and better ways to buy a truck. I just like the ability to get out of it if something bad happened, and or you get burnt out on trucking, don't want to do it no more. Twice I've quit trucking, sold all my stuff, and said I'll never drive another truck. And then a few months later, I find myself driving another truck. Yeah, Swift does have regional routes. I don't like to comment on which ones because they're constantly changing. But if you'll contact Michelle, she can go over what's available in your area. Only go home every 6 to 8 weeks, going home tomorrow ever. Yeah, I've been staying out 3 or 4 weeks lately, but I usually go home a lot more than that. Oh, definitely, definitely. There's several locations I've saved over $1, but usually it's like 60 to 75 cents a gallon. Snow tonight. Where you at, Wolf Wolf? 3 to 4 inches. You must be up north. Has anybody got any more reports on what the other channel's saying about me? Did they ever answer back? James or any of you guys get that? Oh, I'd like to let go, but my wife had some health problems and I needed a stable income, and it's just been a lot of stuff happened. But uh, yeah, I can say this: most of my trucking career, I hated it and I didn't want to do it, and I even kind of resented it. But the last 3 or 4 years, I've really, really enjoyed it. Wisconsin, wow. He's not in the 601. This is hard to get out of your this is hard to get out of your once you get it in your blood, you always come back. Yeah, and now, if I quit and go to Lubbock, they want to pay me 10 or $15 an hour, and I'm going to work all week to make what I make here in 1 or 2 days. And it's hard to go back. I can't stay out weeks at a time, unfortunately. I have VA appointments to attend on Mondays. Yeah, I would definitely not do a lease in your case then. I'd try to find a local job or something that would do that. The problem is there's not a lot of trucking companies that have Mondays off. A lot of times they try to get you home for the weekend. And their idea of weekend off is Saturday night real late, leave Sunday night real late. So you gotta talk to them about what their definition of weekends is. I'm definitely feeling that burnout. Been honestly thinking of getting out of trucking for like 2 to 4 months. Been all my accounts. I definitely got money to do it. Not sure if that's the play. Yeah, we all get moments where we're burnt out. Take a week or two off and just go fishing or do whatever you do to relieve stress. And uh, it's hard to quit though, because it's just we do make good money. Even when we gripe about the money, it's still pretty good. Your view always changes every day. Yeah, and I like that. I've had offers. Swift's offered me stuff, and other companies have offered me stuff. And several drivers have suggested, why don't you get you a home every day job? That way you can be with your wife, you can see your adult kids more. And it's because I like traveling and my family's used to my schedule. I've been doing this for 25 years. And when I'm off, I'm off. I can go hang out with them. I've got the money to do what I want to do. And so my work life balance is great. I'm really happy with my life. Now, sometimes I get busy, sometimes I get stressed. James can tell you he's called me and seen me when I'm stressed. Uh, YouTube can be a grind. It's worth it, but it's a grind. And so I get stressed and overwhelmed like everybody else. But yeah, that's you may need to take some time off, but the view changing every day is definitely and seeing the different parts of the country. I've been to all 48 states and Canada once, and most of the people I graduated high school with will never do that. I don't even look at their channel. I try not to, but I get sent clips and then I get forced to go watch. And so I guess we'll find out if you can really die from boredom. Lenore City, Tennessee tonight. Well, you're not too far from me. I was just in Tennessee yesterday. I'm in Memphis right now. I guess I'm still in Tennessee. Man, I am tired. Good Lord. Any old builders transport drivers still rolling out there? Yeah, we got any builders transport in here? I remember that company. I love trucking. I just don't like the politics that come with it. Here lately, I don't like the a lot of the drivers out here, the unprofessionalism, the lack of courtesy and respect. That's what I've noticed that's changed the most. The shippers and receivers treating us like third class citizens. And they want you to sit in a cage for 6 hours, but there's no bathroom, no water fountain, no nothing. Don't want you to have your cell phone with you. And yeah, that's sometimes you just have to get out of the truck. Exactly. Exactly. Had my doctor tell me he should be a driver when I told him what I make. Yeah, yeah. My my doctor's same way. He makes a crap ton of money, but he always has a few trucking questions for me and a few YouTube questions for me. And they call me Trucker Todd at the doctor's office too sometimes. That's technically Tennessee, but so different from the rest of the state. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's one of my least favorite places to go in the country. I've had probably 6 or 7 lot lizards knock on my door, and they don't care if your curtains are closed or not. And it's raining here, so hopefully that'll kind of deter them a little bit. But I'm not interested in their services. They belong to Dosky now and will be absorbed into Landstar. So there you go. Now we know what happened to Builders Transport. They were the front runner when I was in truck driving school. If I wanted to go flatbed, that would have probably been where I ended up. Where the beach in Memphis? That's a beautiful beach. I want to park there at the beach next time I go to Memphis. This is a virtual background. My friend James sent it to me. This is, I think he said about a half mile from his house. This is in Florida. I just put it on because it was a good picture. It shows the clouds and everything right before it was about to rain there. There's waves on the beach. I used my Google Pixel 6 Pro to clean the picture up. It had a picture of his daughter on the right hand side of the screen, and I was able to use the magic eraser and erase her out of the picture. So but yeah, it's pretty good. What camera do I use for YouTube? So when I do these lives, I'm using my laptop. It's a Hewlett Packard Omen. It's a gaming laptop. 16.1, I think's the screen size. When I do recorded videos, I was using a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, but this last video that I did today, I did it with a Google Pixel 6 Pro. I've got like 5 phones on here and the laptop. I've got several different things here and I use different things at different times. I've switched to the Pixel Pro because the battery life's a little better and it's smaller and easier to deal with when I go to the truck show. So it takes me about 2 weeks to move everything over and get everything set up. And so that's why I've started doing it now. The beach is on the Mississippi River and right next to the pyramid. James would have to answer that. I don't know exactly where it's at, but James could tell you. And he did put a comment down there. Yeah, send those lot lizards over to Contractors Corner. Oh, they would turn them into contractors. They'd get them to sign a lease. They would turn their lives around and give them financial advice while they were there. Maybe free tickets to the seminar. You never know. I was really hoping that with the freight that Swift has, they'd be able to route me in the direction I need to take my reset Saturday, then leave out Monday mid morning. They may be able to. They told me all day they didn't have freight, and they sent me 4 different loads today. So maybe they'll find something for you in time. India and Atlantic. I can't say that word. Beach, Florida. So it's in Florida. 601 is talking about Bass Pro Shops in Memphis. LOL. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I don't know on this live. Sometimes I don't think I get all the comments because sometimes it's kind of hard to follow the conversation, especially if y'all get off on your own down there in the bottom. But I just kind of go with the flow now. It works out. But all right, we're at almost the 2 hour mark, and I got to get up early in the morning to go pick up this load going to Iowa. So we may wrap it up here pretty soon if we don't have anything else. Uh, Looks like I've got to go watch that video and see what was said about me. The pyramid is Bass Pro Shops. Oh, okay. I don't even see the pyramid. Is that what that is back there? It's on my screen, it's a lot smaller than it is on your screen. And if I enlarge it, I can't see your comments. Oh, we had a pretty good turnout tonight. I apologize that those guests canceled. Next week we'll have Trucker CFO unless something weird happens. It'll be during Matt's, so he may have some scheduling conflicts then too. No one can give financial advice. You have to learn, like a lot of us had to, by buying and learning from our mistakes. Yeah, I can tell you everything I did wrong, and I guess that's financial advice, but some of it's just living and learning, and everybody's situation's a little bit different. Not that, James, I don't have any idea. Oh, okay. You guys have totally lost me on that conversation. You may have to explain it to me later. Probably won't be tonight, maybe tomorrow if I talk to you. Got to stop at the big Iowa 80 truck stop. Yeah, I like going there. I like going there. The restaurant in there's pretty good too. And I've used that shop before when I was at Dart. The shop's pretty good there too. I haven't tried the truck wash there though. And my CB that I got, the work that was done at it was done at a little CB shop right down the road from there. Almost to Memphis. Thanks for keeping me company. I was just thinking about you, Tim. I hadn't seen any comments, and I was wondering if you were still with us. For maintenance and or repairs, does Swift route you to a terminal or just along your route or home location? So it's not forced dispatch here. Swift don't route me anywhere. I tell them what I want to do. If I need to go to a shop, I work it out with my OOC, or I'm a beta tester on the load board. I book myself something. I haven't used the Swift shops a whole lot, to be totally honest, because I haven't had a lot of mechanical problems. And my truck's so new that a lot of stuff would be warranty and I would just go to a dealership during home time. But it depends what it is and the severity of the breakdown and things like that. But because of Dart, I'm not a big fan of company shops, and so I might give the Swift shop a try, but I haven't had to use them yet because my truck's done pretty good. Good night. Have a safe one, everybody. Good night, Michael. Thanks for coming in and all the good comments. Ah, you're driving. Well, at least you're here, man. You won't have to watch it on the replay. We had a good turnout tonight, and I appreciate everybody being here. And y'all stay tuned. We'll find out how much trouble I'm in the next couple of days. If I'm filming the next video from Lubbock, Texas, then you know that I got canned for my comments. I'm sure that uh, Contractors Corner will have some replies to this at some point, but it is what it is, I guess. So anything else before we call it a night? I don't know how many, let's see. Oh, you got to be kidding me. It shows we've had 2 thumbs up. You guys give me a couple of thumbs up on your way out before we wrap this up tonight. I'd really appreciate it. But all right, we've, let's see, we got one more. Had a water pump that went out Saturday and it was warranty, but Swift had it done at Petro. Yeah. Yep, that's good. Yep, that's true. We've been talking about it tonight, Tim. They did buy them for 808 million, and they're going to finalize everything at the end of the second quarter or the first part of the third quarter, they said. So I could have my truck maintained at the place of my choice and have them pull it out of my maintenance account. Depends what kind of lease you're in. If you're in an MRP lease, you've got to work with them because they're on the hook for 80% of it. If you're in a straight lease, you can do it wherever, because if it's not warranty, you're paying for it. So a lot of times, oil changes and stuff, I don't even contact the company. I just pay for it myself, and then I send them the receipt because it's a DOT requirement that you maintain maintenance records with them. Yep, U.S. Express, they sure did. You're welcome, Poplars. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and cut this in about a minute. We'll finish at the 2-hour mark. That's a short video for us, but I think we've covered everything we needed to cover tonight, and I've said enough to get myself in trouble. You guys don't forget to click the thumbs up on the way out. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back Thursday, do it all over again. Y'all have a great week and take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.